I don't think even once I've ever talked about Lady Gaga, but we're going to talk about Lady Gaga today. I don't know if y'all remember way back in the day, like, God, 15 years ago, maybe, I was a teenager. There was speculation about Lady Gaga, a kind of speculation that we're probably well familiar with by now in the day and age of Iman Khalif and all this, the transvestigation. I don't even know if were using that term at the time, although to be fair, I was a little bit less in the loop of like what's hot in the trans community. But yeah, people were saying, "Oh, Lady Gaga is a man. She has a penis." She even famously did an interview with Anderson Cooper where, yeah, I don't think transvestigation was a concept. I mean, it was a concept, but the word didn't exist back then. Uh, but like Anderson Cooper asked her directly, basically, about this rumor, and Lady Gaga is like, "Oh, well, let's see if we can find it. Actually, I wonder if we can find it. Let's look at this original thing
There was that
here."
rumor that you had a male appendage, that you were a hermaphrodite, and you joked about it on the stage last night.
Maybe I do.
But it's interesting.
Like just a 60 minutes interview, and her mouth is just full of like tomatoes or something. I don't know what she's eating.
He's so terrible.
But it's interesting. A lot of artists would immediately put out some sort of a statement saying this is absolutely not true.
It's just ice. She's just chewing on ice.
You have fun with it.
Why the hell am I going to waste my time and give a press release about whether or not I have a penis? My fans don't care, and neither do I.
Yeah, classic. We love it. So that happened. Well, this video was only uploaded 3 years ago, but I think that this was quite a long time ago. But yeah, so it was, people were making a big deal out of it, and she had this response that was just like, "Yo, I don't, like, my fans don't care about whether I have a penis, and neither do I." Like, and yeah, it is true that I think a lot of people, I remember I used to watch, I think I spent like one pretty hardcore weekend binging Rachel Oates content. And like, I know that she's had some issues that people have had with her previously, but the thing that turned me off to watching Rachel Oates is that people would say she had big hands because she was gesticulating a lot in the videos, and her hands just looked kind of big because they were, very far in front of her. And she was like, people were like, "Oh, do you have man hands? Are you a trans woman? Are you really a man?" And she got kind of upset about it. She was like, "No, I'm not," and that kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. And so by contrast, Lady Gaga just being like, "I don't care. Am I really going to give a press conference about whether I have a penis?" Like, she never answered the question directly. And the reason that we're talking about this today, obviously this like 15-year-old thing, yeah, if she does have one, she's doing some pretty extreme tucking. She's keeping it together for sure. I think there was a recent interview, I believe. Okay, so this article is from September 18. Lady Gaga never spoke out against rumors claiming she's a man, quote, "because I didn't feel like a victim with that lie," adding, "I'm used to lies being printed about me." She recently appeared in the second episode of a show called What's Next? The Future with Bill Gates, and explained her decision not to speak out against the rumors that dominated headlines early in her career, and claimed that she was actually a man. The pop icon famously shut down a question about the rumors by telling CNN in 2001, yeah, in that interview we just watched, "Why the hell am I going to waste my time and give a press release about whether or not I have a penis? My fans don't care, and neither do I." So in this show with Bill Gates, she says, "When I was in my early 20s, there was a rumor that I was a man. I went all over the world. I traveled for tours and for promoting my records, and almost every interview I sat in, they said there was this imagery on the internet that had been doctored, and they would say, 'Oh, there's rumors that you're a man. What do you have to say about that?'" Like, apparently, practically every interview she did was asking her to address these rumors. Hi, we would like you to hit like and subscribe, and check out the links in the description so that you can donate to the GoFundMe or the Patreon, and check out the links for merchandise. Check out this cute hoodie I'm wearing. OMG. Do it for the kitty. He's such a good boy. Some people are growers. Well, yeah, I think the thing about tucking is that it's hard to keep the testes in place. They tend to want to slide out, as is the nature of the inguinal canals. But anyway, She says, the reason why I didn't answer the question is because I didn't feel like a victim with that lie. And I thought, what about a kid who is being accused of that, who would think that a public figure like me would feel shame? She says, I've been in situations where fixing a rumor was not in the best interest of the well-being of other people. In that case, I tried to be thought-provoking and disruptive in another way. I tried to use the misinformation to create another disruptive point. So basically, I think that she's saying, not directly, but she's basically saying, if there was someone who was younger who was trans, how would they feel seeing me react with this big, oh my God, I'm not that, how could you say that? Like if she's saying that it's shameful, how is that going to negatively impact people who are being accused of this, like, whether they're trans or not, She should have just rolled with it and said she was a man and trolled. Yeah, I mean, I can see how that could have gone down. Like, if she had taken the angle of like, so what if I have a penis? I'm proud of having a penis, like I could see it kind of heading that direction. But I appreciate her perspective on this, and there's more to the quote. But yeah, she's basically like, I don't think that me correcting this rumor would be in the best interest of any other person who could be accused of this. Yeah, this interview was from 2001, lesser known Eminem album that came out right after Recovery. Before he switched up his style was a collab, Bad Meets Evil album, where he joked about this Lady Gaga having a penis thing. Yeah, this gossip is super old. Yeah, Gaga was causing an existential crisis with elements of psychosis to weird transvestigator paranoics before it was cool. Yeah, Entropy fan. She was trolling the transvestigators before it was really popular to do that, I guess. Nowadays we have people like Mia Moore on Twitter. When people are like, oh my God, I can tell you're a man. And then she posts a picture of Sigourney Weaver. And she's like, oh, really? You think this is me? Do you think I'm a man? And then people start transvestigating Sigourney Weaver and saying like, oh my God, your jawline or whatever. Gaga does kind of summarize by saying, I've been used to lies being printed about me since I was 20 years old. I'm a performer. I think it's kind of funny. So yeah, I mean, it's not like a huge story, but I thought it was worth just talking about, transvestigation against cis female performers, athletes. It's not new. I mean, and we did cover, I don't remember her name. We did cover recently that sprinter from back in like the 60s who was transvestigated, and she gave birth the following year, but she never received an apology or a retraction. Her world records were stripped because people were like, oh, she's a man. So this is, yeah, by no means is this a new concept. And it's just so interesting. Like, why do people care? Why would it matter? I love having out and proud transgender people representing us. I love that. It's great. But I also don't think anybody should be obligated, especially like because being trans means you're at greater risk of violence, and it's like statistically harder for you to be successful than a cis person in the same field. I don't think it's incumbent on any trans person to be open. And honestly, like, as my content is about to shift away from the politics stuff, I'm probably not going to bring up the fact that I'm trans very often. I'm sure people will be like, oh my God, what's wrong with your voice? Or whatever. That's just what I have come to expect from a more mainstream audience. But sometimes it's nice to not have to think about it. Sometimes, like, I want to talk about something else. Plenty of trans people who are successful just want to live their lives and happen to be trans. It's not fair that every trans person has to be an activist, has to be a spokesperson for the entire community. So, like, even if Lady Gaga were trans, it's not her obligation to come out. It's not her obligation to take on that role. But yeah, she just treated it like it's no big deal. Like, yeah, so what if I have a penis? I don't care, and my fans don't care. Who cares? Why is this why do I have to discuss this in every interview? Like, how degrading is that too? to have people asking about your genitals in basically every interview you're doing as a musician who wants to be known for her music, having to deal with that, I guess, accusation all the time. But it does get you really accustomed to extreme lies that the media will make up about you. I guess you get used to it after a while. Just like, yeah, I wonder what crazy nonsense people are going to say about me today. I wonder what lies people are going to make up about me right now. So Lady Gaga, stay winning, by winning. I know, by winning. Wow, I just revealed how old I am. But basically, she's been, whether intentionally or unintentionally, she's been a trans ally for a long time. We stan. Trans misogyny affects cis women too. It's true. Actually, I think statistically, trans misogyny affects more cis women than it affects trans women, because there are more gender nonconforming, or like not even gender nonconforming. Like Lady Gaga has always been fairly feminine, except for like that one time she did drag. But excuse me, statistically, there are way more cis women, and I think way more cis gender nonconforming women than there are trans women in the whole world. So like, and we've discussed this before. I'm not going to hammer on it too much because we're kind of rounding the end of the segment here. But when we're talking about the bathroom issue, when we're talking about the sports issue, any of these situations where we're speculating on people's bodies and where we're trying to determine like, ooh, who's really a woman, that impacts cis women the most. Like butch cis women will have men follow them into the women's restroom to be like, hey, you can't be in here. And they have to be like, yo, I'm a female. What the f are you doing in here? Like cis women are impacted by trans misogyny in the same ways, and perhaps to a greater volumetric degree than trans women or any trans people. Yeah, almost as if the transphobic, gender critical feminists who, yeah, used to be anti-feminist, don't actually care about the safety and rights of any women. Huh, weird. Gaga also helped transition the military from Don't Ask, Don't Tell into being out in the military. With her constant awards stumping in speeches, Don't Ask, Don't Tell was initially considered a liberal kindness from the POTUS Clinton, but we later learned that that's still cruel. Like, you couldn't be in the military at all as a queer person. And at the time, they actually thought it was woke to allow this, like, don't ask, don't tell policy where you can be gay, you just can't say it. You can't say anything about it. Lay also points out the great thing about her response is that not only might it help a young or insecure trans person to see her treating this like a ridiculous thing for people to talk about, but it also shows the interviewers watching her be interviewed that it's ridiculous. And when that happens often enough, rumors like that have a harder time getting off the ground in the first place. Right. If she's not going to have a big reaction, and if they're not going to get the answer that they're looking for, there's no point in asking her. I do want to just, I guess, right at the end here, for funsies, Joe Calderon. This was Lady Gaga did like a drag photo shoot, basically. And the character is called Joe Calderon. So, classic. That's Lady Gaga in drag, smoking a cigarette and doing a French inhale. We stan. Thank you to the patrons, especially Bo E, Hapax Legomenon Patient Advocate, Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvag, Sarah A, Jack, Amanda B, Michelle Frateroli, Michelle Winter, Wellington Marcus, Danielle McDonald, Suzanne Maynard, DZXN, Jamie Jam, Nova, Sojo, Past Null Infinity, Elizabeth Bartell, Jericho, Athiet, Desi Quiche, Celeste, Mr. Atheist, Liam Hodgson, Kevin Young, and Ella V. Nobody.